Welcome to yet another edition of TV Africa News. This is Africa Today. My name is Najuma Loima, but first are the headlines. Bodyguard shoots Minister Angola dead, turns gun on self. Kenyan police clash with anti-government protesters. Onduparaka stage late comeback to peak point of KCCA. Welcome once again. Now the news in detail. A bodyguard shot and killed the State Minister for Labour Charles Angola in Uganda early on Tuesday in an apparent private dispute, according to the army and local media. The attacker, who has not been publicly identified, then turned the gun on himself, according to sources. We have more.
Initial reports indicate that Charles Okello Angola was stepping out of his home, heading to work when one of his bodyguards shot him dead. The bodyguard then started roaming the neighborhood while continuing to shoot in the air. He eventually retreated to a nearby salon, ordered the people cowering inside to leave before he turned the gun on himself. Witnesses claim that the soldier was yelling that he had not been paid for a long time, despite working for a minister. A fellow resident and former Kawempe North MP Latif Sebagala was one of the first on the scene. He claims to have seen Angola's bodyguard on rampage in the neighborhood. He said he advised the residents to take cover as the soldier continued to shoot in the air. The victim, Charles Angola, served in the government of President Yoweri Museveni as the junior minister in charge of labor. He was a retired army colonel. Army spokesman Brigadier Felix Kulayigye said in a short statement that an unfortunate incident led to the killing of Angola. The incident is likely to create shockwaves in a country where other high-profile officials have been killed in gun attacks over the years. In 2021, a former army chief in Uganda was wounded and his daughter killed when gunmen shot at his vehicle in Kampala City.
Uganda is to spend 45 billion shillings in rehabilitating the Uganda Museum and several historical sites across the country. This was revealed by the Acting Commissioner for Museums and Monuments, Jacqueline Nyiracheza BSJ, as she addressed journalists at Uganda Media Center.
Addressing journalists during a press conference on the commemoration of the World International Museum Day in Kampala, Jacqueline Nyiracheza BSJ, the Acting Commissioner for Museums and Monuments, said that the government of Uganda has injected 45 billion Ugandan shillings in the rehabilitation of the Uganda Museum and other historical sites, which includes monuments, buildings, and among others.
We are launching in the next 1 week, starting to construct a monument, which is the Equator Monument in Kasese, and we are going to refurbish the Uganda Museum under the World Bank. The World Bank gave the ministry funds to refurbish or to rehabilitate the Uganda Museum.
According to Jacqueline, the rehabilitation of the various museums will be followed by the repatriation of artifacts from the various museums in the diaspora.
We had a dialogue last year, whereby a dialogue plus talking about what we have and also, what we have in the diaspora. Of course, we have artifacts in different museums which were taken by our colonial masters. A few from Cambridge are going to be repatriated very soon.
On the other hand, the Minister for Tourism, retired Colonel Tom Butime, revealed that Uganda will join the rest of the world in commemorating the World Museum Day at Kahunde Grounds in Gulu District on 18th May 2023.
10th of May, Uganda will join the rest of the world to celebrate the International Museums Day. And the national celebrations will be held in Kaunda Grounds, Gulu City, Northern Uganda sub-region. I wish to inform the public that the events and activities for Museum Week will run from 12th until 18th May.
It's from this backlog that the minister called on the Ugandan public to utilize the available space at the Uganda Museum.
Asante Road Uganda Museum space is open. It's open for dialogue, open for education purposes, open for exhibitions, open for lectures, open for debate, that museum. So it's not just there for people to go and look at the artifacts which are there, but even space now is open for the Uganda public to go there and hold lectures.
We have been looking at promoting cultural heritage because worldwide or globally, cultural heritage brings a lot to different economies. And so, of course, we are aware that for Uganda, the cultural heritage subsector has been lagging behind.
Uganda's parliament on Tuesday passed a new draft of anti-gay legislation, retaining many tough provisions despite President Museveni's call to rework an earlier version of the bill following outcry from Western government. Legislators amended portions of the draft law to clarify that identifying as gay would not be criminalized, but engaging in acts of homosexuality would be an offense punishable with life imprisonment. Although Museveni had advised lawmakers to delete a provision making aggravated homosexuality a capital offense, lawmakers rejected that move, meaning that repeat offenders could be sentenced to death. The earlier version also required Ugandans to report suspected homosexual activity to the police or face 6 months imprisonment. Lawmakers agreed to amend that provision on Tuesday after Museveni last month said it risked creating conflicts in society. Instead, the reporting requirement now pertains only to suspected sexual offenses against children and vulnerable people, with the penalty raised to 5 years in jail. According to the new draft, anyone who knowingly promotes homosexuality faces up to 20 years in jail, a provision left unchanged from the original bill. Organizations found guilty of encouraging same-sex activity could face a 10-year ban. The bill will now be sent to Museveni, who can again choose to use his veto or sign it into law. If he were to return the bill to Parliament a third time, a two-thirds supermajority of lawmakers could override his veto, forcing the bill through. Homosexuality was criminalized in Uganda under colonial laws, but there has never been a conviction for consensual same-sex activity since independence from Britain in 1962. Let's take a quick break. We shall be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. The Kenyan police on Tuesday used tear gas to disperse a delegation of opposition politicians who wanted to visit the president's office in the capital, Nairobi, in a day of anti-government protests without major incident.
Elected officials from the opposition Azimio coalition wanted to petition about the unacceptably high cost of food, fuel and electricity. After being denied access to the presidential building, they were dispersed with tear gas, according to a video shot by local media. After a 1-month break, the historic opponent Raila Odinga called for a resumption on Tuesday of the demonstrations against President William Ruto, whom he accuses of stealing the August 2022 presidential election and of being unable to curb the current price hike. A previous series of protests in late March led to clashes, looting and vandalism. 3 people, including a policeman, were killed during these rallies, banned by the authorities. In some slums on the outskirts of Nairobi, Scuffles broke out between police and youth who blocked streets with burning tires. In Kisumu, an Odinga stronghold in the west, roads were blocked with burning tires and rocks. On Sunday, Nairobi Regional Police Commander Adamson Bungei announced a ban on the protests, as previous ones had been marred by violence.
The self-proclaimed pastor accused of starving his followers to death in Kenya appeared in court this Tuesday in the coastal town of Malindi. Paul Mackenzie Nthenge, a former taxi driver, is being tried for his role in the Shakahora Forest massacre, where at least 109 members of his sect were found dead. Mackenzie founded the Good News International Church in 2003. In 2017, he was arrested on charges of radicalization and teaching in unregistered institution. He was later tried and acquitted in October 2021. In March 2019, a member of his church was also charged with cruelty and neglect of children in what raised further questions about his sect. Pastor Mackenzie claims he closed his church in August 2019 and moved to the forest village of Shakahora, where the authorities found mass graves in April. Moving on, hundreds of Moroccan trade union activists rallied in the capital, Rabat, on Monday to protest against declining purchasing power, soaring inflation, and rocketing food prices. Let's take a look.
The unions are demanding, among other things, a ceiling on fuel prices, a reduction in taxes on basic products, and a reduction in income tax to support the purchasing power. Adras Idrissi, Vice President of the National Labour Union of Morocco, said that they were celebrating the National Labour Union of Morocco to defend the citizens' eroding purchasing power. Abdelali Hamadain, member of the General Secretariat of the Justice and Development Party, added that they were demanding social justice, freedom, and reorganization of the socio-economic conditions in Morocco, given that they are facing a very serious situation. Inflation in Morocco hit 8.2% in March, including a 16.1% rise in food prices, according to official statistics. The agriculture sector, which is crucial to the Moroccan economy, is also facing a chronic rainfall deficit, which is further straining food prices.
Away from that, the Japanese Prime Minister Kishida Fumio arrived in Ghana on Monday on the second leg of an African tour. Japan and Ghana are serving as non-permanent members of the Security Council. Fumio met Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo and both vowed to continue to pursue reforms at the UN Security Council. The Ghanaian president added that the current Security Council permanent members does not reflect the current reality, adding that reform must be promoted. Both heads of state also agreed to closely coordinate on the issue of Sudan, where military clashes continue for a third week. The Japanese Prime Minister said that he hopes his latest visit will boost cooperation between the two countries across a range of fields, such as the economy, development, and human resources. Let's once again take a quick break. We shall be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. In our business news today, major players in the fuel industry have eased the pump prices for petrol to less than 5,000 shillings per litre for the first time in over a year. At the weekend, a section of Total Energy stations lowered their petrol pump prices to 4,000 999 shillings.
Mr. Solomon Muyita, the spokesperson at the Energy Ministry, yesterday attributed the drop in fuel pump prices to a number of reasons, including relaxation in the COVID-19 restrictions and the Russian-Ukraine war. The other reason, according to Muyita, is that 4.5 million liters of fuel is now being transported from Kenya via Lake Victoria daily, a move that has reduced the transportation costs to about 50%. Last year, fuel prices skyrocketed due to the effects of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, which affected global oil production and supply. During the war, several oil suppliers ran into a brick wall while Russia, that accounts for 13% of the global oil supply, was blacklisted, which created a worldwide shortage, especially countries that relied on Russia. Between August and November last year, a litre of petrol was traded at 6,500 shillings to 10,000 Ugandan shillings, while diesel prices were in the same range, depending on the location.
In our health news today, authorities in Kenya have started performing autopsies on over 100 bodies of members of a religious cult who starved themselves to death. We have more. The investigators exhumed the bodies of 10 children on Monday and found signs of starvation and, in some cases, asphyxiation. The Christian-based cult was founded by Paul Mackenzie Thenge, a former taxi driver who has been in police custody since April 14th. Reports suggest the cult leader is refusing food and water. According to the Kenyan Red Cross, more than 300 people have been reported missing. On Sunday, Kenyan President William Ruto said he would appoint a judicial commission of inquiry this week to investigate the tragedy. And finally, with our sports news today, KCCA FC squandered a 2-goal lead to draw 2-2 draw against on Paraka FC in Lugogo on Tuesday. KCCA seemed to be in the driving seat after scoring 2 goals midway through the second stanza, but on Paraka scored twice in stoppage time to salvage a point. We have more on this report.
The goals for KCCA FC came from Moses Waiswa and Alan Okello, while Odum Paraka got theirs through Emmanuel Okechi's brace. The opening minutes saw dominance from KCCA FC, but could not find the much desired early goal. The resilience from the visitors was eventually broken in the 53rd minute when Waiswa calmly scored direct from a free kick when Mayanja was fouled. In the 64th minute, Okello, who has a good scoring record against Odum Paraka, doubled the lead for the hosts. The first goal for the visitors came in the 8th minute through Okech, who did well to curl the ball beyond goalkeeper Chan. In the first minute of added time, Okech once again found the back of the net to send the home side into a frenzy. The result means KCCFC stays second on the table on the 45 points, one behind Soccer Club Villa. On the other hand, Odum Paraka remained bottom of the table on 15 points. This is the first time Odum Paraka pick a point of KCCFC at Lugogo in 7 attempts.
That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned.